Hello, I'm Tom Bailey, and in today's episode, I'll be getting to know Jose Palomino, who's the CEO of Value Prop Interactive and is the author of the book, also titled Value Prop. So, Jose, hello, and a very warm welcome to today's episode.
Oh, glad to be here. Thanks, Tom, for the invitation.
Amazing. And whereabouts are you joining from?
I'm in the suburbs outside of Philadelphia, so on the East Coast of the U.S.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And I just want to share one last thing about you before we did get started. So, Jose believes that the ability to convey your distinct value proposition is a key to your success in business. And he shares the 3 key principles of effective value propositions and also how to get yours into shape. And therefore, the title for today's episode is How to Effectively Convey Your Value Proposition. And Jose is going to show us how to do that in just 7 minutes.
There you go.
Good luck. Question number 1 today is, who are your ideal clients?
Typically small to mid-market B2B companies. So companies that either make things or industrial services, very much in that category of B2B. It could be professional services, but primarily tends to be more on the industrial categories.
Yeah. Excellent. Great. And is there a standard challenge that you say that they face generically across the board?
Yeah, actually, it's that same word generically is actually a good tell there. They are every day dealing with a battle to decommoditize, to not be seen as just another one offering a very similar service to lots of other companies their size as well.
Mm-hmm. And I guess being seen like everyone else, what impact might that have on their business?
Well, if they're seen like everybody else, then what happens? 4 distinct things happen. Sales slow down, right? So they don't get as many sales.
Yeah.
Margins are always being pressured.
Yeah,
always.
Yeah.
Sales cycles take forever, including things like, hey, we just got to think about it a little further or something like that.
Yeah.
And then of course, just lead flow is slow because again, why would anyone flow to you if what you're offering is the same as everybody else? You're a generic category.
Of course, that makes complete sense. So for those people listening that feel like they might fit into this category of your ideal client, and what's that one piece of advice that you might give them to help them stand out in the marketplace?
Deeply understand your customer's biggest problem.
Yes.
What a lot of small companies do is they deeply understand what they do, and they should. They should know what they do and how they do it, and they want to tell the world about how we do it. But it's much more important at that size company that you really have a better understanding. This you can get a better understanding of your customers' challenges, because then you can align what you do to them, and you'll sound and feel like you're something different, even if you're actually doing the same exact thing as somebody else.
Right. I heard the other day someone talking about the principle of start with why, but it's not your why, it's your customer's why.
Absolutely. Brilliant.
Right. What's in it for them, I guess. And okay, so for anybody that's starting to connect to this message a little bit, what would you say is one resource that you can offer or share to help people solve this problem?
Well, we have a number of them. They're at valueprop.com /guides, and we've made a number of guides around things like targeting your customer, making critical decisions, because everybody in the category of that small to mid-market company, they really struggle with a lot of these things, and we've tried to make it real easy for them to figure some of this stuff out even on their own.
Yeah, great. And I'm just going to throw a random question in here that I hadn't prepared you for, but I noticed in the bio that it says that you had 3 key principles of an effective value proposition. Are you okay to dive into those right now for us?
Oh, sure, absolutely. So a value prop, and there's more than 3, but 3 that particularly is an easy test was, are you bringing anything new? So is it innovative? Is it actually indispensable? Is what you're doing useful over time?
Yeah.
And is it somewhat inspirational? So you have to really work at that. And you say, well, gee, we bend metal. How is that going to be inspirational? It's inspirational relative to what your buyers used to seeing.
Yeah.
So if you've ever seen anybody geek out over like a gaming station, and then somebody else standing next to them, like mom or girlfriend or boyfriend, saying, that's boring to me seeing that stuff. But to somebody who's into it, it's not boring.
Got it.
And that's the whole point. You have to make it a little sizzly for somebody who is in the space and would know the difference.
Yeah, add the sizzle. I love that. Great. And so for anyone that wants to find out more or take that next step, have you got a URL or a link that we can provide today that will get people to get access to that?
Absolutely. They could just go to our website at valueprop.com. That's VALUEPROP.com. And you can also find me on LinkedIn as Jose Palomino. And
Right.
I'm pretty easy to find on LinkedIn as well. Happy to connect with anyone.
Excellent. And what I'll do as well is I'll post all those links in the show notes as well, so people can go and download the guides and get access to your website as well from there. So more a question to yourself then, what would you say is one of your greatest either mistakes or failures or learnings that you've had either in life or in business, and what did you learn from it?
Yeah, I think earlier in my career, not wanting to ask for help because
Yeah.
perceiving that to be seen as weakness. And
Yeah.
then learning in one of the best companies I work with, and this was fairly early in my career, but I had an opportunity to get some outstanding training, and they came up with a mantra that they trained everybody, 10,000 employees, and it
Right.
was never die alone. So the
Yeah.
whole point is, and it really became part of the culture, is like, if you don't know something, ask. And that's become definitely a kind of a life coda for me in terms of, if I don't know something, I ask even a client. If I don't understand something they're telling me, I don't pretend. I say, could you explain that to me? I never worry about what they might think about. Gee, shouldn't you already know that? I'd rather know. And so that's something I really learned, and it's very empowering actually. And most people just appreciate it.
Yeah, I love that. And a lot of the time I hear that the best leaders, surround themselves by people who know more than them. And that's okay to have that network around you.
Absolutely.
Great. And the last question for me today is, what is the one question that I should have asked you today that will also bring some great value to our audience?
I think what's step one, right? So
Yes,
somebody listening to this say like, where do I start with all this, right?
Where do we start?
Where do you start with the customer?
Yeah,
Start with the customer. The natural instinct is to start looking inside at your own stuff. How do we make it more efficient? How do we make it faster? And all that can be necessary. Start with your customer. Do you really, really know your customer?
Yeah, I love that. Great advice. And yeah, start with why, but make sure it's your customers' why. And so, Jose, thanks again so much for your time today. I really appreciate you coming along and sharing lots of great value with our audience.
My pleasure, Tom. Thank you.